Hello, my brother. Welcome to the Great Man Within podcast. Every episode designed to help you discover and live the great man within you. Bryan, you're back in action. Welcome to the show, brother.
And we're back.
It always feels like a piece of me is missing when you are not here, when I'm doing these solo.
But you're rocking it still, man. I've been listening to your dailies. I'm a fan.
Yeah? Are you a fan? You enjoying what you're hearing? Okay.
Fanboy.
Brian's picking up what I'm putting down. Speaking of down, this last week, man, for a lot of people, including myself, I know also for you, we felt a dip. And on one of the episodes that we released, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, called Navigating the Dip in Motivation. This seemed to be a week where a lot of people who were flying pretty high, who were handling this environment pretty well for a while, just all of a sudden hit this wall. And I know for me personally, it was kind of like Saturday, I just didn't feel inspired. I was disconnected from my power source. None of the stuff that worked in the past, like meditation or thinking positively or gratitude, really seemed to work. And I was just in it. I was in the dip. And a lot of the guys in our mastermind also felt the same way. And we talked about that last night. So what have you been seeing, dude?
Dude, I've felt a really like waves week by week here. And I think often something we talk about when we're talking about personal development and plans is how exciting the beginning is. It's like, oh, things are going to change. I mean, think about like New Year's resolutions. Like everything's going to change in January, right? And I feel like the first week of self-isolation was that. It's like, this is different. It's new. There's almost some excitement, even a little bit of scariness to it. And then into week two, it's like, okay, cool. Now I know how to use Zoom, and let's talk about the new normal. What's the new normal going to look like here? How long are we going to do virtual stuff for, right? And so there's still some figuring it out, but getting to new normal. Week three was like, okay, like I know how my tools work. I know how virtual works. I've established communication structures with my partner that I'm with. And it's like, good, now I'm going to be productive. And so week three, week four was like productive week. And then this past week was just like, oh boy, how much longer is this going to go? Oh boy. Like I feel like I've done the productive thing. I've done this. And so we're starting to hit that month two of like the dip. And I feel that, man. I know the excitement of 9 Zooms a day has started to lose its luster.
That's waned. Yeah, we right. During our men's group meeting on Monday night, I shared with the group. So we were all on Zoom. There's 9 of us. I love the guys. And it was, at the end of probably like a 12-hour day of Zooms. And I was like, I love you guys, but I fucking hate Zoom right now. Like I love Zoom because if we didn't have Zoom, we wouldn't be able to do so much of what we've been doing over the last month. But I'm so tired of it because it's just like I'm tethered to my computer and I'm sitting down all day. My ass is starting to hurt from being in this chair and I'm like anxious and antsy. And I think it's just kind of cool for us to talk through that stuff, right? To talk through it, especially because yesterday we were told in New York City here that we're going to be in quarantine at least until May 15th. So we have another full month ahead of us on the horizon of spending time in quarantine. So it's time to kind of let some of this stuck energy go and figure out how we're going to handle the next 4 weeks of this, or maybe more. Yeah. So I think one of the things that you and I talked about in prep for this conversation is, I've been emphasizing quite a bit the personal development, fortifying the inner foundation, and that's all well and good, but we haven't really spent much time talking about just like, what are you doing to enjoy yourself right now? Like, what are those life's little pleasures right now? Let's just put personal development on fucking pause for a minute. Like what are those? We can
do that on this podcast? I thought we had to talk about personal development.
We had to amend the bylaws to allow that to happen.
Good. We cleared this with the board. We're good. All right.
Well, I think even you asking that question gives me in a funny way, gives me a self-reflection of how sometimes in my life, like I can overdo the personal development. I can overdo striving, the standard setting. And like one of the things that I really love about you is like you are a great reflection of balancing, personal development with fun and with joy and play. So sometimes like I lose sight of that. And I wanted to make sure that our audience, like you guys, our listeners, also know that like, yes, we do enjoy ourselves. And sometimes we need to showcase more of that on the show. And I got to start with the number one thing that I'm enjoying right now is Bryan's smile. Why don't you tell our listeners why?
Oh man, I was fearful of this moment. For the last year, I've been working through getting my front right tooth. I had to get an implant put in. And right before the pandemic started, I had surgery, the gum was healing, and so my dentist put in this temporary like glued in tooth. And it was only supposed to last like a few weeks. So I was going to go in and get like the permanent one put in. Well, pandemic struck and I was like, shit, I have this glued in tooth. And it's not. I look like, I mean,
it's not glued in anymore.
Sexy. It's not glued in anymore. I woke up, I had my tooth in my mouth, rolling around in my mouth in the middle of the night. And I'm like, no, it happened. And I've been so careful. Like if I'm eating some food, I eat in the side of my mouth. It's very awkward. So now I feel like I have a sense of freedom because I can just bite into anything I want. But I definitely look like a hockey player.
He looks like a hockey player. It's fantastic. And last night on our mastermind call, one of the guys in our group, it was Deco, he was like, hey, look at it from the bright side. Like statistically speaking, you've still got more, like most of your teeth, like 95% of your teeth. And you're like, thanks, but it's kind of a big one. It's like right in the dead center of my face.
Front and center. Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy.
Shit, man. Well, I'm gonna share with you a few things that I'm really digging right now. And I can't wait to hear what you've got as well. But one of my favorite go-tos to just kind of like take my mind away are the Impractical Jokers. I love that show. I've seen every single episode. So if you don't know Impractical Jokers, 4 guys, best friends, grew up together in Staten Island, like New York as New York can be. And they've had a TV show, I think on True Television for 8 years or 9 years now, where it's kind of like Candid Camera meets playing practical jokes on each other. And they're usually the butts of the jokes and they're hilarious. And they film everything like right around here in New York City, like right near my apartment, like where I get my hair cut at Union Square, at the coffee shop right below my apartment. I've still never I've never had a chance to meet them in person. But there's this like one, to give you an example of what they do to each other, they compete all throughout the episode and whoever loses the most then has to be punished. And there's this guy named Sal, who's one of the funnier jokers. And his punishment was to go to Mohegan Sun Casino in a bingo hall where he is forced from his 3 other buddies to yell out bingo when he hasn't won bingo. So he's now sitting in a crowd of like 70, 80 and 90-year-old people who are like super intense about bingo. And, and he's got like an earpiece in and boys are like telling him to yell bingo. He stands up and yells bingo when he's got like only 3 balls on the board or whatever. And he does this like 6 times and there's almost like a fucking mutiny of people until they finally kick him out. And I don't know why, but that kind of shit just brings me a lot of joy. And so like,
I love that's your indulgent thing that's bringing you joy right now. If you don't know this about Dominic, he has this side of him that is an impractical joker. You love the ribbon people a little bit, doing right. There's a part of you that loves that, like, I don't know what you call it, almost like this, like this joker,
agitator, kind of like an agitator,
like poking the bear. Yeah, you totally got that in you.
You know what? You just reminded me of a story. I don't know if I've ever told this on the podcast, but like when I was my very first job at Cigna healthcare company, I was 22 years old. I worked on human resources, and the woman next to me, this was in Philadelphia. The woman next to me, her name was Ellen Nusiforo, in her mid-50s, spark plug, like South Philly as South Philly could be, right? She used to say use. Instead of you, it was use. And she was one of those people who kind of hazed you until she liked you. So she used to haze me when I came into the office to see if like I was worth her time. And I remember I was going to this Bon Jovi concert after work one day where I had like my clothes folded up, like my non-work clothes folded up. And she comes into my cubicle at like 4:00 that afternoon. And she's like, hey, Dominic, what are you wearing to the concert tonight? And she sees my clothes folded. I'm like, I don't know. Why do you care? She's like, I just want to see what t-shirt you're wearing. And I open up the t-shirt and she had emptied an entire, like one of those 3 hole punchers, all those little hole punches in my shirt. So it like blew up like confetti in my cubicle. So that I'd spend the next like hour and a half cleaning up. And she thought that was great. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be out fucking done by Ellen Nusiforo. I figured out that every morning that she would come into the office, she would put her coat in her cubicle, walk to the bathroom, wash her hands, and then come back into her cubicle, and I'd hear her do 2 squirts of moisturizing cream on her hand after she'd washed it. So one day I waited until she left the office. I went to like the drugstore. I bought a jar of mayonnaise. I emptied out all of the lotion in her jar and I replaced it with mayonnaise. Next day she comes in. I'm already in the office. She throws her coat down, goes to the bathroom, washes her hands, comes and sits down in the cubicle. And then you hear squirt, squirt. And then a second later, what the fuck? She walks into the cube with her hands just like all greased up. And she was pissed. But like you could see that look in her eye, kind of like, I respect you now.
Respect.
And we were like friends. From that point on, she protected me, and like I was in her inner circle from that point on.
So good. So I think the lesson here, the takeaway is practical jokes earn your respect.
I think so, to the right people. You've seen me play practical jokes in environments where it didn't go down very well. Yeah. So I'm learning where it's appropriate and not. What are you enjoying these days, buddy?
When you asked me that question, the oddest thing popped up, and this is the thing that I've avoided in my past. You may have had moments where your mom was like, eat your vegetables, like eat your vegetables. And I will eat vegetables. I don't necessarily like them, but man, this pandemic, putting a salad in front of me feels like gold.
Really?
Yes. I feel like I used to go to like not chopped. What's a sweet green?
Sweet green.
I would go in there and it's like just this plethora of different vegetables all in a bowl. And I don't think I really appreciated it that much before, but now it's tough to make a salad because there's so many different ingredients and you have to eat them. Otherwise they go bad. Yeah. And so to get a mixed salad, which we're staying with Becca's parents right now, and her mom's been awesome in like making these salads at night. I'm like, oh, forget the cookies. Salad feels like gold. Cookies you can put in the freezer and eat whenever.
Look at you, dude. You're like, this is transformation right here. You're known in the Great Man Within circle as being the cookie monster. And now you're talking about getting joy from salads.
Yes. I mean, I follow it up with a cookie, but I can still enjoy the salad.
Is there a linchpin to a good salad for you?
Avocado. Definitely one of them.
Totally.
Cherry tomatoes, love it. Uh-huh. And I'm also a huge arugula. I love arugula. I love the spiciness in the arugula.
You know what they call that in Australia?
I don't.
Rocket.
I like that.
Yeah, it's called rocket. Do you know what they call peppers, like green and red peppers in Australia?
I don't.
Capsicums.
I think that's the technical biological name.
It probably is.
Capsicum.
Yeah.
Do you have any other Australian words you wanna put out there? What do you call a dog? A dog in Australia?
You call it a dog. A budgie smuggler.
A
budgie smuggler is a Speedo.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah.
It's actually I think that sounds like an onomatopoeia actually.
Yeah, that's right. I'm fresh out of Aussie sayings until I refill my tank. But here's something
what else is bringing you joy?
Okay. This morning I decided to pull out an old photo album because Michael Young from our mastermind, he was saying he went through some old photo albums. I decided to dust one of them off back when we had actual photos. And I don't think I've pulled out this photo album in maybe like 3 or 4 years. In the back of the photo album, I have all of these old letters that I saved from my very first relationship in high school with my girlfriend. And I went through and I read them probably for the first time in like 10 years. I saved like all of them. I saved these letters. Like she was a sophomore when I was a senior. Her name was Katie. And she was like, I hate using this word, like, but it was like the perfect high school relationship, the perfect first girlfriend. You know, like we had like we never said that we loved each other, but like I feel a sense of love for her. It was such a beautiful, innocent relationship. And the letters that I had a chance to read were like near the end of senior year. She was a sophomore. I was a senior, like going to prom, expressing how much we enjoyed that together. And then the breakup as I went off to college, and then the letters of sadness while I was gone and how we broke up and all that stuff. And it just kind of like brought me back to that period of time where that was really before, Brian, like my addiction really started to kind of like surface and started to kind of take hold of me. I think probably in college was where it really started to become bigger. And that innocence, it like kind of opened my heart reading it. And I had like a deep feeling of appreciation and love for her. And some of those stupid things like that, like, you know how you write love notes to, like, you know, when you're 18
are these
years
the
old?
ones that you write in class and you fold up and you pass on, or like you pass in the hallway? How did the transaction happen?
These were letters that were sent to each other. Like she either mailed them to me at home or I mailed them to her at home or back in, or in college.
Your
And
girlfriend was a pen pal?
we were, yeah.
That's really weird.
We didn't really have, I mean, we had
This is
email
before
and
AOL Instant Messenger.
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. Well, it actually was right around that, but like you didn't do that, I guess, with your girlfriend.
You guys you had a very formal relationship.
It sounded like it. Yeah. But that brought me joy today, man. It did.
Yeah, it brings back some good memories. I like that. Dom, something that's bringing me joy is my dad, for the first time, has found social media.
That sounds like it could be a double-edged sword.
It is absolutely a double-edged sword because he will take things that he finds in social media, it's called Facebook, and then he'll either screenshot it or somehow otherwise forward it in an email chain. And so do you remember probably about the same time that you and your ex-girlfriend were sending formal letters to each other?
Okay.
Like where the chain emails were big. It's like, hey, send this to someone else, otherwise you're going to grow hair on your eyeballs, right?
Yeah.
So I'm starting to get these chain emails from my dad that and I gotta say, like, some of it, there's a part of it that's annoying. It's like, Dad, like, I got a lot going on right now, like I don't have time to respond to all of these, and I feel like I should respond to them because, like, I'm happy that he's part of social media and he's trying to communicate. And there's also some of these are actually kind of funny. So there's definitely a double-edged sword, but there's been a few that have brought some level of, okay, that's a funny joke.
You know, parents and computers and social media is just like a whole other ballgame. My mother has, like, she's amazing. She just has like no concept of how Facebook works. There was this post I did a few months ago, and then my friend Kiara, our friend Kiara, right? Like, she commented on my post. And Kiara's a beautiful woman. And then my mom replies to Kiara's comment and goes, "Wow, she's beautiful. Do you like her?" And then yes. I wrote underneath, and I was just like, "Hey, Mom, next time I come home, I'm going to explain to you how Facebook works." And,
so good.
I can explain it to her. It will definitely not land with her.
Your mom totally blew up your spot. So cute.
You know what's really cool, man, is like watching how the like younger and younger generations are kind of like, get me away from my parents. So like Facebook went to Instagram, and now the Instagrammers are going to TikTok until like we go and ruin TikTok, and then our parents come and ruin TikTok for us. And then the next thing, I got to appreciate the innovation and just get the hell away from us people.
You know what? Talking about parents, something else that's bringing me joy is I mentioned earlier on the podcast that Beck and I are staying with her parents now on Long Beach Island. And they've been asking me for help, setting up printers, like working on the Wi-Fi. And that has felt really good to be able to help and contribute in those ways where I can contribute. And that's been a lot of fun. And there's also a hope in me and there's a knowing in me that as I get older, there will be certain things that I need from younger people to help me learn. And it's really cool that they're open and willing to ask for that. And it's a reminder for me that I can do that even now.
And the fact that you probably feel useful, right? Because like you're kind of, like, this is not the right word, but like you're
freeloading. Is that the word, Dominic?
What's that?
Freeloading. Is that the word?
Yes. Yeah. I was saying intruding. Freeloading is probably better. Yeah. Like, so to be able to give back in some way has to feel.
It totally feels good. Yes.
Have you made them your Becca's Kodiak cakes yet, or pancakes?
We have not done pancakes yet, but here's what we have established. So Becca and I are in charge of dinner Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
Monday, we have men's groups, so we're doing dinner apart on Monday. Just do whatever we can. And then they're doing dinner Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so I got to say, their dinners have been amazing. The bar has been set. And we haven't had to cook yet. So I think the pancakes are coming soon for dinner, awkwardly.
Oh, that's not awkward. That's glorious. That is your God-given American right to have
There it
pancakes
is.
for dinner.
Okay. That's what we're doing.
Got that? Yeah. Throw some bacon on there. Dude, I'm just going to keep going because this is fun.
Please.
I think we just get, I'm not even going to edit this. This was supposed to be like maybe like a 10 or 15 minute episode, but we're going to keep it going because this is fun.
Okay.
Okay. I've been stalking dog accounts on Instagram for the past year. And I made a declaration about a week ago that I am going to be buying a dog.
So wild.
Big news.
Yeah. For some reason, buying a dog seems like a weird statement to me. It's almost like you go and buy a shirt, but it's a living animal.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Like, what's the vernacular?
I don't know. I don't know what the verb is.
I'm getting a dog.
It's also very hard to say verb without a front tooth. I'm really struggling here. Can you hear my lisp? I'm sorry. This is about me for 1 second.
When you say lisp, yes.
Yeah, lisp. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. You can hear it there.
Okay.
I wish this podcast was visual for you guys so you could see this because it's again bringing me joy. Thank you, Bryan.
Maybe we'll do a screenshot.
Yeah, we should. That'll make it like the cover art for this episode.
All right. So Dominic, I don't want to brag, but my very first job, and we're going back to the dogs here. My very first job in high school was working at Petland. Now, while I was the head of Fish and Reptile, I also worked with the dogs every once in a while. Don't want to brag.
Was that an esteemed position, like being the head of Fish and Reptile?
There was nothing I didn't know about those animals in the back of the store.
That's not what I asked. That's not what I asked.
Absolutely.
Did anyone give a shit that you were the head of
you know who my number one customer was? A mom that wanted to buy their kid a goldfish.
Goldfish. Okay. Got it. I see.
Yeah, that was my number. It was very esteemed. Yes.
Okay.
Cool. In the pet world.
Okay.
And so I did work with the dogs. I also was that nerdy kid that like in high school, I'd be reading through the dog encyclopedia. And so I know a lot about dogs. I would love to be a resource for you as you figure out what dog you're going to quote buy.
Cool. Well, or get.
Or get. Yes. How do you see yourself with a dog in the future? What are you doing together?
Yeah, this is where I kind of get a little bit, I don't know if stuck is the right word. I love the idea. I think like a big turning point for me in saying like, I want to get a dog was on New Year's Eve. I was in upstate New York and I was taking a hike through the mountains by myself. The snow was on the ground and I was hiking for maybe an hour by myself. And then I came into contact with another guy who was coming the other way with his dog. The dog was the first one that I saw. Like it kind of ran up to me. And then we stopped and talked. And I was just like, I would love to go on adventures with my dog, just me and my dog, like running through the woods and like putting him in the car, driving upstate or, going to Colorado with him and doing a hike. There's something really exciting to me about that.
Okay, great. So you need an adventure-ready dog.
See, so when I say that, then there's the other side of me that loves like these kind of like tiny helpless dogs. Like my friend Annabelle. Oh boy. Yeah, like Frenchies. Like Frenchies are just kind of like they can barely move, like they kind of it's like a grind for them to keep up with you. You can't run with them. I grew up with a pug. My very first dog ever was a pug. She was blind. She was amazing. But like moved a mile an hour. You're not doing like hikes with her. So, but I have a fondness for those. So I don't know. I'm kind of stuck between those two types of animals.
Wow. You want it all. I don't blame you for this.
I do.
Okay. So you're stuck between the cuddle monster and an adventure hound.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. How about you? If people listening to this, if you don't know, Dominic is meticulous, not just with his routines, but also his place. It's very clean. I had to go pick up something for Dominic one time in his place, and I was like, oh, I'm totally going to catch him. Like his place is probably a disaster. He had to leave in a hurry. The place was pristine. Like it's like he like used a metal shining like material on his sink before he left. That's what the place looked like. So a dog, right? You're entering an animal into this pristine living environment. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, like I have feelings about that. I don't love the idea of every article of clothing being covered in like dog hair or fur. I'm cool if like a dog is potty training and it takes a shit on my floor or on like my carpet. Like I understand those are going to come with part of it, but I do worry about like, is every part of my apartment Am I going to be coughing up dog hair or fur all the time? You know, like the last thing I want if I'm intimate with someone is to like start sneezing because like there's dog hair everywhere, or her to start sneezing.
Are you allergic to dogs?
This is an interesting thing, man. Like growing up, no. And then like when I went off to college and I was away from animals, we always had an animal. We always had a dog or a cat for 18 years. And then went to college, came back, and I was suddenly allergic to all animals. I have not been around animals regularly enough to know if I still have that allergy. I do know that since I've changed my diet over the last 5 years and gotten a lot healthier, I don't get seasonal allergies at all anymore. I rarely get sick. And so I do wonder if like a part of like my diet has helped like to fix whatever allergy I might have towards animals. I really hope so.
Okay.
Are you skeptical?
Okay. I'm worried about you. I'm worried about what this dog is going to turn you into. We might be tuning into this podcast and it's just fur flying everywhere. Okay. So we've got not sure about allergies, worried about hair. Is this going to be a cuddle dog in the bed? Will dogs be allowed in the bed?
I don't like the idea of dogs in bed. I think there's a little bit of like the bed is human territory. That's just how I roll. Like the dog has pretty much carte blanche anywhere else. Bed's where I get down. I
see you in your nighttime routine, you shutting your door and just hearing the whimper of this little puppy outside.
Sleep at the foot. I could put the dog could sleep at the foot of the bed.
You don't even have a dog yet and you're already bending the rules.
No. I said I don't want it in the bedroom. Come on in, bud. Come on in, buddy.
I see. Okay. Yeah. So not on the bed at the foot of the bed, but on the ground.
On the ground.
Your old dog. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This is a good starting point. I encourage anyone that has suggestions based on this criteria of Dominic's design dog life to give him a holler. I would love to hear what other people think about what kind of dog you should get.
Dude, it's been so fun, like stalking dogs. There's this video I posted this week. A friend of mine, when I made the declaration, sent me this video of 6 baby labs, like 6 baby labs. And there's this kind of bucket that maybe 2 of the baby labs can fit in. Right. And like you see 2 of them get in that are comfortably situated. And then the other like 4 are circling the bucket. And then like 1 more decides to squeeze in. And then like a 4th one decides to squeeze in. And it's like, there's no way that a 5th one can get in. And the 5th one squeezes in. And then there's absolutely no room left. And the 6th one jumps on top and piles in. And it's like 6 baby labs in a bucket made for 2. And that shit makes me happy. And that's why like I need to get a dog. I need a dog like that.
Dude, I feel like you need to go stalk real dogs. Like, so what you've done is you've gone on Instagram and seen the best of the best, the cutest of the cutest. And what I would love for you to do is maybe walk down to Washington Square Park there or Union Square and just watch a bunch of dogs shitting. And then watching their owners take their plasticky hand and like grabbing that, picking it up and throwing it out. Because I feel like you need a balance here.
I really do. I really do. I do go to the doggy parks and I sit and watch. There's some reprehensible dogs out there.
They're not all Instagram worthy.
No, I understand that. There's some dogs that are just like, nope. What you were saying about the owners picking up the dog shit. I did this like meditation workshop last year. I forget where the dog thing came up, but the woman who was leading the meditation, she said, dogs really, and this is what I said. I was like, isn't it amazing that like we've built this like animal and human relationship with these dogs? Like there's really only 2 animals that are like kind of domesticated, cats, dogs. You know, on some level we have like horses or whatever, but like really kind of dogs and cats seem to be the thing. And dogs, I feel like are the national pastime. You know, cat owners that's a different ballgame.
Oh, you're going to get some hate mail now. Here it comes.
I don't think so. I think our audience is dog lovers.
Oh, you boys. You just killed a third of our population here.
Do you think so? I'd be curious to know what, like, show yourselves, people. Like, reach out to me.
We'll put this on your story.
Listen, I grew up with cats and dogs. I loved Bocce. Bocce was our cat. He was a hunter. He would, like, leave, like, dead mice on our front doorstep. You had to like watch yourself when you walked outside because he was just like a king of the jungle around our house. But there's something about dogs, their loyalty, their disposition, the way they handle kids. They're just fantastic. Anyway, I was like, isn't it cool how we've built this kinship with dogs? And the woman running the meditation experience, she was like, yeah, they seem to want to serve us. And when she said that, I was like, huh, yeah, I guess in a sense they do. Like they're kind of there ready for us at all times. They're really loyal. And I was like, but actually, if you think about who's serving who, right? Like dogs get a chance to not work. They get a chance to be present. They get a chance to be fed. Of course, like it's kind of on our terms, but for many of these dogs, their lives are pretty well taken care of. And we're the ones following them around with the poop bags. Like they're just shitting on the cement on the sidewalk. And like, I'm going and picking up behind them. Like, and then they're moving on to the next distraction. Who's serving who here, buddy?
Yeah, I'm with you. They've got the life for sure. Becca and I were talking about a dog, and I recognized that in the pandemic here, she's been working really hard and heads down and hadn't left the house in about 4 or 5 days. Huh. And I was like, you need to go outside. I was like, I'm going to get a dog so it takes you for a walk. Nice. Like, move it along. But you're right, man. Like picking up the poop is a real deal.
Are you and Becca talking about getting a dog?
Like joking around. I think we like to talk more about you getting a dog than us actually getting a dog.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not ready for the, so here's the problem. We have a conundrum on the dog situation because I don't want any kind of dog that sheds. I'm allergic to short-haired dogs. Like they bother my skin. They bother my breathing. And she only likes dogs that look like a frying pan hit them in the nose.
Yeah.
All of those dogs shed.
The overlap is going to be pretty slim.
Yeah,
I got
very, very slim, if any at all. So I don't know. I think we'll see how you do. You can lead the way.
All right. So I'm the guinea pig?
You're the guinea pig. Okay.
Cool, man. Is there anything else you're enjoying, man, here, or anything else on your horizon that you're excited about?
Yes, but that's a much longer conversation than we have time for here.
Really?
One last thing. Becca's mom went out for a walk on the beach the other day, and there were seals out there. And I thought that was
in New Jersey?
Cute. In New Jersey.
Seals?
Yes. There were seals playing around on the beach because there was no humans there. And I was like, oh. So she was nice enough to take photos of it. And I was like, that is so cute. I hope to go. Now, when I go for a run, my midday run, another thing I'm really enjoying these days is a midday run. And I run the street down and I run the beach back, hoping I'll see a seal, but I haven't yet.
Okay. That's fascinating because the beaches are empty. The seals are coming out to play.
Yes.
All right. That's cool.
Part of me thinks if the seals knew that I was the head of Fish and Reptiles, they would come out.
They understood what kind of,
like
how big of a deal.
Style.
Yeah. Yes. How big of a deal you are. Have you checked out the Netflix documentary, One Planet?
I have not.
It's done by the same producers who did Animal Planet. And it just came out, I think maybe about a year ago. And it's this beautiful documentary about how our world right now is changing dramatically over the last 50 years due to like the doubling of the human population and global warming. Some of the video footage is captivating. It shows like different animal mating techniques. It's not like one of those, you know, some of those documentaries like just show you the real raw gore of like animals destroying each other. And it stops before that. So it's kind of like PG rated. But I found myself mystified by the beauty of the different landscapes that they covered throughout the world, and also like the animals that they're able to capture. Definitely put that on your agenda, on your radar for something that's like quite.
I'll put that actually sounds like something. I for the last week I haven't watched any TV or Netflix, not because I haven't like wanted to. I've just been busy doing different things, and I've been looking for like what can I watch that feels really good, like I don't feel drained afterwards.
Yes.
Something like that would light me up. When I was a kid, I used to go to the library at the school and I would read Jacques Cousteau books. Like I love like the water and the animal and planet stuff, so I think I would really enjoy that.
Do it, man. I think you're gonna enjoy that. Yeah, I'm setting that up for like tomorrow night is what I'm going to watch after my meditations. So that Saturday meditations, I'm going to watch that at the end of the night. And I think the last thing that I'm looking forward to is the NFL draft is coming up. And I'm a huge sports fan. And what's really interesting is the deeper I've gone into the world of personal development and doing men's work, the fewer and fewer men that I find who still follow sports. It's quite interesting. But that is like such a big part of my life. I grew up playing football. I grew up playing baseball. I collected every single baseball card, football card. I was a savant when it came to like memorizing statistics and, you know, how much each card was worth. I used to buy the Beckett magazines that valued the cards.
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about? Like that was just my life. And right now, because we don't have sports on television, the closest thing that I've been able to do is like watch old games or documentaries. But the NFL draft is like probably the only business as usual thing in sports that's going to be happening for months of time. And while they're moving the NFL draft from where they typically do, I think it's at Radio City Music Hall. Or no, they've been switching to different cities throughout the country. Mm-hmm. They're now moving it to virtual, but they're still drafting the players, and they're still, like going to have major impacts on teams and the future of their rosters. So I'm really pumped. I'm going to be watching that after we do our Thursday night mastermind call.
Well, the draft is the Jets' only hope because the Jets are so terrible. And this is Dominic's team.
That's my team.
Do you have a hopeful draft pick, or is it just the process of watching the draft, no matter who's drafting him?
I do have a hopeful draft. We've got so here's what's cool. The general manager of the Jets, who just got hired last year, his name is Joe Douglas. He went to the University of Richmond with me. We were both like in school at the same time. I didn't know him. Todd McShay was my fraternity brother. If you ever seen ESPN, like he's kind of the Mel Kiper Jr. Todd McShay is like the new guy, and he's like the likable version of Todd McShay, of Mel Kiper Jr. So Joe Douglas is a Richmond Spider, so there's that connection there. I love the moves that he's made so far with the team. Sam Darnold, who is our young quarterback, I had this epiphany a couple of weeks ago where it's like, I want to coach Sam Darnold. I want to coach Sam Darnold.
You personally?
Me personally.
Okay.
Because like Sam's got the talent, he's got the skill, and I just had kind of like an awakening. Like I want to fucking coach him, and because he's going to win a Super Bowl in the next few years, and I want to be a part of that. Like I want to be a part of that.
Put that out there. As soon as Gary Vaynerchuk buys the Jets, you step in. You're the coach for Sam Darnold.
Hell yeah.
Or before. Do it before.
No, I want to do that now. Yeah, I want to do that now. And Gary V is going to be years down the road before he buys it. But Gary V needs the Jets. We need a Super Bowl. Sam Darnold needs an MVP trophy in the Super Bowl.
You're going to grease the skids. You're gonna help make that happen faster. I like it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah.
Get on it, Darnold.
Darnold, if you're listening, I got you, brother. So that feels good, man. That was a nice conversation about what I'm enjoying right now. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm really wondering about what kind of dog you're gonna get.
Same.
I really want to know.
Do you think that dog exists right now? Do you think he or she is alive, or do you think that
born?
Yeah.
Do you have a timeline on when you want to get a dog?
No.
Because that would be really helpful in answering that question.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I feel like it could be months, or it could be like, oh my God, that's the dog right there.
I see what you're asking. Okay. No, I find you to be a very detailed and thoughtful guy. And I feel like you might get to a point where you're like, based on my research and my feelings, this is the type of dog that I want. But I don't know if I see you going to a pound or a store and being like, that's the dog. Mm-hmm. And the only other way to do that is to steal somebody else's dog, which would be very unethical.
Yeah, I mean, that's a consideration. I don't know if I would go that far down the path, but like I'm actually going to rely a lot on feeling on this one. Like most of the shelters in New York, and most shelters, I just saw a statistic yesterday that I think we've had the adoptions from shelters have gone up 700% over last year.
Awesome.
And I think there was a video on Instagram that I saw from the Palm Beach County Animal Shelter, where it was really cool. They did this this view of all of the cages were completely emptied, and all of the people who worked there were just kind of standing in the cages waving. It was the first time in their history that every single animal had found a home. So like there is a silver lining for our furry friends in this. It also means that like there's probably going to be a shortage of animals for the foreseeable future, which is great. I'm not in any hurry, but like I could see myself going to just do some research, go to a shelter, see an animal, be like, oh my God, you're my dog.
I did that in college. I wanted a dog. I went to visit my grandparents. My grandfather gave me $50 for some reason. He went to the bank to do some work. And I was like, oh, it's a dog pound. And I saw what you're asking happened to me. This dog was just looking at me. I took it out to play. And I was like, I don't have a choice. Let's go home together. And we did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Her name was Jazz. She was part Bazenji, which is maybe a dog you should look at.
I don't know what that is.
They're known as the African barkless dog because they don't bark, they yodel. And they don't shed all that much. And they're very athletic.
What does a yodel sound like?
Almost like a turkey.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How long did you have Jazz for?
I had Jazz for a few years until we couldn't find an apartment in college that would allow the dog to stick around. So I ended up giving her to a family that we knew. And this is hilarious. Jazz was a super athletic dog. I used to run with her. I mean, she jumped super high. So I give her to this family and I go visit her about 8 months later when I got back from from college. And she was so fat and so happy.
Yes.
And the dad, as Jazz is playing with me and the kids are playing with me, the dad's like, yeah, she likes to eat at the table a lot. I'm like,
nice.
I can tell.
Nice.
So fat Jazz.
I'm glad that Jazz found a new home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's just put it out there. If any of you guys have suggestions for me, places I should look, I'm now following probably 24 Instagram accounts of different shelters and different breeders and all different dog accounts, but I'm constantly looking for new ideas. So send them my way. Australian Shepherds have caught my eye.
They're cute, very athletic and smaller, good apartment dogs.
I'm kind of digging
blue and brown eyes.
Kind of
and
digging
plus, you like to say Australian words, so that's perfect.
That's true. I could teach it Aussie words.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so maybe we have some alignment coming there. Send me your ideas, people, and I hope you enjoyed this today.